Alright, so Ski to Sea. Tons of fun. It was about 2 weeks ago, and I've learned a lot through the experience that I think is worth sharing, because there isn't a whole ton of information out there, like no guide or anything besides like the information that they provide on the website, which is very useful. Like kudos to that, but there isn't a whole lot of people just being like, hey, here's what it's like, kind of accessible sort of thing. So I figured I'd kind of run through that just to be helpful, and a little bit of background. I've never road raced in my life ever. I've done some mountain bike races. That's predominantly what I've done. I've had quite a few road bikes. This is by far the newest. I bought it a week before the race just because I needed something. And the race bike I was going to use was going to be pretty slow. You'll see that coming up. It's pretty sweet. It's 125 years old. So decided to help my team out and not use that to be competitive. And it turned out I was pretty competitive. So that was nice. So this is kind of my like for dummies little guide here. So my first thing I would say is, if you're looking at all this stuff, just commit to doing it. It was a ton of fun. Like, I did it as part of my works team. It's our like first year doing it. All but one person had never done it before, I think. And we just had a riot. It was amazing. It was so much fun. I can't recommend doing it enough at all. And on that is like, don't worry too hard about equipment. Like this thing is 30 years old. It was made in 1993. It has down tube shifters, rim brakes, and 23 mil tires, which are pretty narrow by today's standards. And you know what? I completed the race and I did pretty well. That stuff didn't slow me down too much. Like this thing, I bought it for $100 the week before the race, and you know what? Yeah, I did the thing. Yeah, I don't think you have to have some super bling. Some people there do. They have like $10,000 triathlon bikes and stuff, and all the aero helmets and stuff. But to have fun, you definitely don't need that. See, like I raced on flat pedals for my downhill mountain bike, and I was wearing Vans, not socks and sandals, but not much better. I was wearing Vans. I was not clipped in. I saw like 3 people total that were not clipped in, because objectively you just should be. It's faster and safer. The route is pretty awesome. It's net downhill, down Mountain Baker Highway and all that, and if you go, you can find the rideable GPS elevation map. And what I would say is that there's a few deceptive climbs in it that, like, since the route's 40 miles and you see it stretched out along the elevation map, the climbs look really small, and they aren't horrible, but they're there, you feel them. So, you know, I would say don't underestimate that, but also just like, it is net downhill, and especially at the start, you're going to be ripping. And I don't think I touched the brakes to actually slow down ever during the whole thing. What I'd say is don't fret about gear and stuff and like feel like you're gonna fit in and all that. Like, I'm not a roadie. I wore the jersey they gave you. I wore my mountain bike shorts and my Vans and my mountain bike lid with the big visor on it, and I looked really out of place, but it didn't matter. I had a ton of fun. Nobody cares. So what I would say, what to worry about is actually like planning and getting your stuff together like way beforehand. I knew to do that, and yet I did most of the packing of like my pre-ride bag, the post-ride bag, all the stuff I was going to bring the night before, because I was like, oh, it's only going to take 30 minutes. How long does it take to like put stuff in bags? And it takes like an hour and a half or two. So, and then you find out you don't have stuff. So definitely do that ahead of time. Yeah, and just the race was a ton of fun. I cannot say that. Like, I'm a mountain biker. I've kind of, personally kind of kind of I don't know, been a little negative towards road racing, because like it kind of seems a little boring. But when you're doing it and you're in a pack, it is kind of fun, actually. And they tell you, like, if you're new, don't get in a pack and be wheel to wheel. And I've never done it, and I did it, and I was fine. So take that to what it's worth. But just like the the overtaking and the back and forth and like and pushing on the climbs and stuff, and just passing like 100 people over the whole thing. That was just so much fun. It was great. It was a lot more dynamic than I thought. It's kind of like with mountain bike racing, you're against the clock. It's just you and the trail. You're just ripping as fast as you can. So it's kind of different, and I kind of enjoyed it. And just even riding it was a ton of fun, even if I wasn't racing it. In a way, that would be more fun because you get to kind of smell the roses and look at stuff a little more instead of, holding the guy in front of you's wheel. And the vibes are really great. Like the people, like that you run into. Met some characters. It was fun. I got glitter, like face paint going on because a couple of girls were just passing around, and who am I to say no? It was fun. So I had pink glitter, like war paint. Yeah, why not? It's fun. Just like being on a team, like doing a team stage race was something I'd never done, and just like the whole aspect of like you're in the car together and you're kind of planning like, oh, how are we gonna do this, that. It's kind of, the dynamic is really fun, and just like doing fun stuff with other people just makes it way better than just by yourself. Yeah, you got to get up at 3 or 4 a.m. to like carpool up there, but I was so excited I could barely sleep anyway, and I had no problem getting up at 3 a.m. It was awesome. We had an epic car ride up. Yeah, and on that, do go early. We ended up going so early. We were the first team on the mountain. And I thought for a bit, I was like, oh, this is silly. We came way too early. But then like 15 minutes later, it was like an endless stream of cars. Like I was the first one there at the cycling, at the road bike start. So I got to watch all the cars go RA up to drop everybody off. And it's 500 teams, so there's 500 cars. So you might as well be at the front of the line. You're going to be sitting for hours anyway, like an extra 30 minutes, like makes zero difference. So you might as well go early. And it also means you get to pick a spot because there's 500 people. It is packed. Like you're in this like turn off area, like that's for the DOT snow shed. And it will be packed with people. So you might as well come early and get a non-terrible spot. So you're not like sitting on the asphalt, which I was. I went first, and even still, I was like, oh crap, I don't have a chair. There's nowhere to sit but the ground. So bring a chair. That should be on the website in the road bike tip sort of thing, is bring a chair, because there is basically nowhere to sit and you're gonna get sick of standing for hours. So bring one of these. Most people brought one. I didn't. Nobody told me to, so I didn't. Let's see. Well, actually, my teammate told me, but I forgot. So, and kind of onto some tips. Is once the first runners start arriving, everybody just starts crowding the runner finish road bike start, and just don't do that unless you're like, you're one of the top teams. Like realistically, your runner's gonna come like an hour later at least than the first people, so you can just chill out. It's fun to watch the finish line and stuff, but like I watched so many people try, like their runner was there and they're trying to get like through like a crowd of like 70 people that realistically they weren't going to be going anytime soon. So I don't know, just be kind of respectful. And something I noticed is like our handoff was not too graceful, and realistically I don't think it will be. Like your runner is going to be dead exhausted, and you're going to be like going from sitting on your butt to like hearing your number and then running out there, and you're gonna fumble it probably. But oh well, like if you kind of fumble it, like that's like 5-10 seconds, and in the context of 2 hours it's basically a rounding error, so don't worry about it. They have a spotter about half a mile down from the finish line for the runners to call out the numbers so the road biker can hear, so to get ready to go to the start line. But so that's over a loudspeaker, so everyone can hear that. That's great. Except there's also an announcer announcing the numbers for the runners entering the finish line. So you end up having these two kind of happening at the same time, and the one and the announcer calling the numbers for the people finishing happens to be louder than the one in advance. So I had no idea my runner was there, except for I would not have known, except I happened to be enough people had left that I had made my way towards the line because I wanted to watch, and I wasn't in anybody's way. and I just happened to be there, and I heard I heard a runner yelling my name because I thought that they saw me and were confused why I wasn't there and ready, and I was like, oh crap, and I happened to be pretty close, so I just kind of dashed out in there, and then we got handed off, and I left, but I was listening attentively, and I did not hear our number because the announcers, I guess, that they kind of talk over each other. That's kind of the next thing is pacing is really hard to do. Especially for me, I've never had a road ride at race pace ever, especially not for 2 hours. And my biggest worry was going too hard too early and blowing up, and that's a very legitimate thing. And I ended up not. I paced it almost perfectly because I found somebody, like a guy took off right after me. His runner got there right after me, and I ended up sitting on his wheel for the entire race, and we passed 100 people, but we were kind of going along, and I was like, I was sitting on his wheel, and I was like, you know what, this feels pretty comfortable. I think I can do this for 2 hours. It felt like I was pushing, but I could keep doing it. So as you kind of go along, and as the field kind of separates, you will very likely kind of find somebody that seems to kind of be of similar fitness to you. It may take, if you've never ridden that far, then it may be tough, but because it's mostly downhill, there's only a couple of climbs. Given enough time, you should be able to finish. And just for context, I did it in just over 2 hours, so 2 hours 2 minutes, and I felt really good about that. That's pretty damn good for having no experience whatsoever on flat pedals with down tube shifters, etc. So I was happy with that. So, even if you don't have the best gear, you can do just fine. It's at the end of the day, it's down to your legs, what they're made of, and just how bad you want to suffer for it. Yeah, only a couple climbs. 2 of them are fairly tough. I think the worst one is obviously when you go in Maple Falls and you turn and then start heading north towards the Canadian border. That one's probably the worst one. Oh yeah, there is no here's another good thing. There is 0 cell reception at the start line. So if you're thinking, I'm just gonna scroll Instagram reels or something while you wait for 5 hours, no, you cannot. That's why they tell you to bring someone might suggest that you bring a book or something, because you ain't got no internet. So and it also means that your team can't text you to be like, hey, I'm running a little slow or whatever, or so and so is ahead of schedule or whatever. I did early release. You're going to be in the dark about that. So that's why it's important that you plan all that stuff out, where in advance. Okay, if I'm not here by X time, then go. That's why they tell you to do that. The road is they tell you that there's some parts in the beginning that are rough, and yeah, they're at the very 100 feet in, there's within that span there's some rough pavement. Past that, pavement is beautiful. It was amazing. I was really, really worried about the 23 mil tires and at 100 psi not being I was worried about getting a flat from pinch flatting, but most of it was glass smooth. It was great, so don't worry about that. Make sure that your bike position, your bike fit is comfortable. I got this bike a week before, and I was commuting to work on it, and I was kind of dialing in my saddle angle and my stem height and stuff, and I put a much shorter stem than it had on it, just because I have a strangely weak lower back, and I just can't handle the really extreme forward. It had 120 mil stem on it. It was crazy. That was a lot. I think it's got 50 on it now, which is very short by road standards anyway, and I quite liked it. But just figure that out before and kind of do longer rides than you would, and kind of make sure that it will be comfortable, because any little thing that any little niggle that kind of bothers you for when you're riding for half hour will be really, really irritating after 2. Besides that, I think as long as the bike's in good shape and everything functions and is safe, you've got good tires and aren't all dry rotted and stuff, and everything works, I wouldn't worry about it too much. If it fits you and you're happy with it, fine. Don't get too much gear envy. realistically most of your time comes from how hard you can push, not like how fancy smashy your bike is. Like if you're putting down 300 watts, you're going a bit quicker than someone doing 200. Once you're on the road, it's pretty simple. There's only like one turn that you make, and it is like there are cop cars blocking the road and stuff, and everybody's turning. Like, don't even worry about, like, because they tell you that the course isn't marked and stuff on the website, but don't even worry about it. Like, you will have no problems navigating. You just kind of keep going and follow people. And I was really worried about that and trying to like memorize stuff, and it ended up being like a complete non-issue. It was fine. So yeah, I think that'll be a wrap. Kind of most of what I have to say on the topic. Hope it was helpful, but yeah, just go out and do it. You know, it's a ton of fun. I like to thank and congratulate my whole team. It was a ton of fun. I hope we do it again next year. Everybody just killed it, and we all had a great time. Oh, one last thing. You'll notice this bike stand has another spot, and that's for the bike I was going to use, the super old antique one, 120 something years old. Video on that coming soon. I've been working on it for ages, restoring that. It's getting there, so spot will be filled. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, and